Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to the Middle East Institute at the National University of Singapore. I'm Eng Seng Ho, I'm the director of the Institute, and a warm welcome to all of you on this cloudy day. We are very pleased to host this conference these 2 days, together with the Center for Relational Studies on Global Crises at Chiba University, which is part of a consortium, which is sending a lot of researchers to this conference. And my collaborator, Professor Keiko Sakai, who is the co-organizer of the conference. I would like to thank especially Ms. Huda, Sharifa Huda Al-Junaid, who has been very efficient and busy running this conference. Can we have a big hand of applause for her? We're very pleased to host this conference in Singapore, and I'm especially pleased to be doing it with a Japanese consortium. We are a center for the study of the Middle East located in Asia. And one could ask, why do we have Middle East studies centers east of the Suez, when obviously Asia has very little role to play in the Middle East? I would say that Asia has a lot of interest in the Middle East, very old and long-standing connections. And in the world today, however, Asia has very specific interests, such as what is obvious, energy. On the other hand, Asia has very little role to play politically in the Middle East. So I thought one of the things that could be done in Asia is to have the Asian Middle East Studies associations and centers come together to do work, discuss, think about what sorts of roles they can play vis-a-vis the Middle East. And this conference, to me, is a great way of starting it. It's a great way also because the refugee crisis is one of the hugest crises in the world today. It does not have as much press most of the time as the wars and so on, but it is really symptomatic of what is going on in the Middle East and in the broader world. By what is going on, I mean to say basically a failure of leadership of the strongest powers in the world. What we see in the world today, since I would say the breakup of the Soviet Union, has not really been an assertion of leadership by major powers such as the US, which I think could take a role in shaping the course of events in the world. Rather, that role has more been one of opportunism. I think we see this in the US, we see this in the UK, we also see in the Russia and so on. And so that opportunism and lack of leadership is a major problem. And the refugee crisis is, I think, a direct result of that sort of opportunism rather than leadership. Now, we don't have much power to do much to ameliorate these sorts of things, but at least we can have discussions and float or try to crystallize what some of the issues are, and also what can be done at a lower level to at least contain some of the fallout of these things. And so the refugee crisis, I thought, is a great way to start discussing these things. I will hand over the mic to Professor Keiko Sakai, and then we'll start with our roundtable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ho. Thank you very much, everyone, to attend this conference. My name is Keiko Sakai from Chiba University and one of the co-organizers of this conference. Thank you very much for organizing such a beautiful conference I ever had. And I'd like to express my deep gratitude to the Professor Eng Seng Ho, who kindly agreed to host this conference. And also, thank you thank you to the Michelle Tao, the Deputy Director of this Middle East Institute, and also the Ms. Hoda, who helped us to organize this conference. And she spent almost all of her time to prepare this conference. Thank you very much, Hoda. I'm a scholar for the Middle Eastern studies, and I'm specialized on the Iraqi politics. And as a scholar on the Middle East as well as the international relations, I seriously think that that it is a time for us to establish academic link among the scholars in Asia on the social and the human sciences. As well as we all know, the Middle East Institute here in Singapore is a leading research institute on the Middle Eastern studies in Asia. We Japanese, we in Japan also have a long history of the Middle Eastern studies. We go to the United States or Europe to attend the international conference on the Middle East and make acquaintance with the scholars there from Britain or from the United States or from France or from Germany. But we don't know what kind of the research is being carried out in Asia in the same subject. We do exchange our views with the Americans or British scholars on the issue of, for example, the Islamic States or Jerusalem or Mohammed bin Salman or something else about the hottest issue in the Middle East with Europeans or Americans, but we not with those in Singapore or Malaysia or Thailand or in China or Korea. So as the head of the Center for the Relational Studies on the Global Crisis, I decided to hold a conference here in Singapore for this purpose, to establish a new network among the various scholars and researchers from different countries, not only from Japan and Singapore, but also those who conduct research in other countries in Asia. Well, I'm very glad to be here to see all the colleagues from Singapore and from Japan. But only one thing that I feel so sorry is that Peter Slegret, late Peter Slegret, the ex-director of the Middle East Institute, is not here. Well, Peter Slegret was my supervisor of my master thesis in Durham University, and he was one of the very good friends of mine. And Peter was a pioneer of the Iraqi studies and a great historian of the Middle East. I wish from the bottom of the heart he were here. But I'm sure, I truly believe that he would have enjoyed our conference if he were here. So I hope that all of the participants enjoyed this conference 2 days. Thank you very much.